And we are live. What's good, people? It's your man DL Saint. Um, yeah, I know y'all starting to get used to me putting up thumbnails, but tonight I didn't. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just I don't know. I'm not 100% right now as far as just man. I'm just like I'm just like whatever. You know what I mean? Sometimes you sit around and you don't want to do nothing. You just feel whatever. You feel the pressures of whatever's going on in your life, what's going on in your bubble. You start to think about how did you get here, stuff like that. And of course, I'm always mentioning I'm going through the family court system, and I'm purposely not doing a show about it yet. I want to get through this phase. I'm going to gather up some information. When I come with it, I'm going to come with the 100. Um, I'm going to come with the the what do you call it, the transcripts from the hearings, because I don't want to come at it from a standpoint of being frustrated, being angry. I don't want it at all to come across as if it's some sort of victim mindset, because I don't believe in that. I really don't. The situation I'm in, I put myself in. What I mean, it is what it is. I knew better, but I mean, hey, having said all that, sometimes you get fatigued. You know what I mean? It's battle fatigue. You get tired of it. That's why when when armies go to war, R&R is a real thing, man. You want to pull people from the front. You send them in the rear. You send them in the rear with the gear so they can sit down and recover, get their equipment right, clean their equipment, clean their bodies, eat a good hot meal, sleep in a comfortable bed. If only for 3 days, a week, or something like that, before you go back to the front, before you go back down range, because it drains on you. It drains on you. So sometimes when I get to this point, um, and not when I get to this point, sometimes when this happens with people, I mean, you get to that state. You just like, oh, I need a break. You know what I mean? It's like when you train. You know what I mean? Sometimes you train to a point where you need a break because you reach that point of diminishing returns. Your body has to recover. When you're dealing with certain things, like when I was an air traffic controller, I worked at one of the busiest facilities in the business, and I worked there in its heyday. Right, I was at the Van Nuys Airport, and I started in the late '90s. And anyone out there who knows anything about aviation, especially VFR tower type stuff, they know about the Van Nuys Airport. I was there during the golden era. So even that, sometimes you get on there, man, and you just you need a break, right? So that's how I was feeling today. Like, man, I need a break. These watches, what's good, brother? He says, what's good, man? At DL saying, I really want to know podcast. Hey, thanks for popping in, brother. I appreciate the support. And again, thanks, man. That timepiece is on its way. Right here, I'm wearing that Belova I like to wear so much. I was telling you about the other moon watch, the inexpensive moon watch, but I like it. But yeah, man, thanks. Yeah, man, Chris, solid dude. I look forward to doing business with him in the future. So appreciate that, bro. Good looking out. But yeah, man, I was sitting there and I'm just, my focus is my daughter, and we're, just doing that stuff. Got a preteen in school. It's midterm times. Like, we're coming off the highs of the scores, and then now we're dealing with, the lows of the everyday in school. Hey, why didn't you do this? Where's that assignment? How come you didn't do that? Why is this midterms? Why is this score so low in these two classes, but everything else is good? So you got to handle that as well. And that's not something that is an easy task. Like, parenting is hard. Parenting is difficult. It's great. That is what keeps me going. I love being a dad. It's amazing. But parenting is hard. You know what I mean? So you add that on top of the stuff that I was just telling you about, like dealing with what's going on with the court system and all that, the attorneys and all that. And so I was sitting around and like, man, I ain't want to do nothing. These watchers, yeah, that family court ain't no joke. It's for real, bro, especially in California. Like, California, man. I mean, I honestly don't understand how California is still intact. I really don't. I start to see, because you hear the stories, and having lived out there for so long and seeing how they operate, I honestly I wonder. I'm like, wow, how is it that California is still a thing? Um, but we'll see. You know what I mean? I ain't wishing no ill things on California. It's a great place to visit. I wouldn't recommend living there. It's a great place to visit, and be careful where you visit because they got a problem with homelessness. Um, Parking is always a problem. Uh, you name it is going on out there. But again, but yeah, I didn't want to do nothing. I didn't want to do nothing. But I was sitting around and I was going through my YouTube, and as y'all know, I'm a big fan of Fresh and Fit. You know what I mean? I definitely respect Andrew Tate, and I was going through some of their catalog, and I was watching an episode, and the episode was what's the title of it? It's Andrew Tate back and uncensored, the most based podcast on YouTube at Tate Speech, right? So this is the second time. First time he was on there, he went viral for his words, what he had to say with depression. And then this was like the second time he was back, and it was the early show. So this is the early show when it's just Myron is Fresh and his brother Tate, and they're sitting there talking. And one of the topics that came up was talking about courage. Right, it was talking about courage, and it's kind of been bouncing around in my head all day long, man. I sat down, I wrote some notes. Again, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to just sit downstairs and listen to music, like just go through YouTube and watch videos from like Sade live and stuff like that, or whatever, some jazz stuff or whatever. But I'm like, nah, man. I've started this. I gotta do this. And I'm listening to what was being said. And so I was like, man, I gotta do it. I gotta get on. I gotta do it. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about kind of touch on some things, not necessarily dating dynamic, not necessarily, but I do want to touch on some stuff with men and women, and hence the title of this particular stream right here: What happened to courageous men? Right? Is that still a thing? That's what I was wondering. I mean, because you always hear about women being courageous, single moms, right, doing great things, and they are. You hear about women making strides and breaking through in the workforce and doing all sorts of things, which is great. But like, is being courageous a thing anymore? So that's what I wanted to talk about. That Needs watchers, yeah, man, keep the train running is no small effort. It's right. It's work. It's a grind. I don't mind cranking. I ain't no stranger to that. I've been working hard my whole life, and I ain't no stranger to it. But sometimes you gotta push through. Sometimes you gotta force yourself to get up. Force yourself to move forward, because it's easy to sit down. It's even easier to lay down. And once you lay down, sometimes it can be hard to get back up. And it's a lot of people that understand those words. There's a lot of people out there that get that. Like it can be real hard to get back up. Right. So my philosophy is, don't let yourself get all the way down like that. And for these watchers, when I get that timepiece, that Carl Bashir, he said is I think it's engraved on the timepiece on the back, his philosophy to life, and I think it goes something like it's not a problem to get knocked down, but it's a sin to not get up, or something, words to that effect. I don't know the exact quote, but it's words to that effect, and I agree with him. Once you get down, man, it can be easy to stay down. So courage, you know what I mean? Courage. So I'm hearing a lot on the internet on both sides. The Bravo Papa side, the Romeo Papa side. I'm hearing a lot. Females saying about males and males saying about females, and we're hearing that these, there are no good men. We're hearing that men ain't, men ain't nothing. Men ain't, as men ain't, men ain't shit. I'm gonna have to go ahead and curse because I'm gonna show some clips. It's gonna have some grown up words in it, so I might as well just let it out. So, men ain't shit, right? And then and then the men fire back. Well, women ain't shit, and women are like, men aren't men anymore. Well, women ain't women anymore. They're all 304s, right? They're all hypergamous, right? They're not worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. You're starting to hear all this stuff, and there's so much animosity going back and forth out there. Needs watches. It's not a sin to get knocked down. It's a sin to stay down. Thank you, brother. And that is the quote. That is the quote. Car Bashir. Thanks, bro. I appreciate that. Act Ozzy, what's good, man? Welcome. All those traits are taught by fathers. Yes, they are. They are taught by fathers, and in some cases, strong women. There are some women out there who try to reinforce what the men are teaching their sons. These strong women would come and reinforce that. And I had women in my family who did that. I remember that as a young kid. But you hear the shots being fired, both ways. I mean, it's a firefight, man. Straight up, it's a firefight. Men ain't shit. Women ain't shit. 304s. You got the top 20, bottom 80. Got all this stuff going back and forth. All this stuff. And I today especially, I was just thinking about that. I'm just kind of thinking about where are we right now? What is going on? Right? So, yeah. So this is what I'm thinking, right? I was like, I wrote down some bullet points, right? I was like, we're being told that men need to be more emotional. Men need to be in touch with their feelings. Men need to act on their feelings. I mean, I don't know where I stand on that. I mean, I can understand men should be aware of their feelings and this is my take, people. This is just me. This is DL saying, this is what I think. Men should do their best to endeavor to control their feelings. You must keep them under control. You cannot be ruled by your feelings. If you do, bad things happen. And I'll tell you a story. This was back when I was back running the streets a little bit. I'm out there with my people, and I'm talking to a young woman. I'm not trying to get at her or nothing. She's the close friend of one of my dudes. And she's emotional and she wants to talk to someone. She saw me, so I'm talking to her. And I've been drinking that night. I was waiting on my people to come pick me up because we were gonna go kick it. I was gonna go on a hunt. And this is a beautiful young woman. I'm sitting there and she's talking about, her man, which is my people. And, I'm so this, I'm so that, guys, I'm sure there's plenty of dudes that know what I'm talking about. They've had that discussion with some, woman wants to let out her emotions and her concerns or whatever. And I'm listening to her like, okay, well, all right. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's your guy. You chose him. You know what I mean? Like y'all together. What do you want? What do you want me to say? Right. I'm not going to tell you anything negative. That's my dude. Right. I'm certainly not going to tell on him. If you asking me any questions like, was he doing this, that? I don't know. I ain't going to tell on him. So I'm listening to her. Mind you, I'm tipsy. And then the next thing I know, shots ring out. Right? Shots. They going off. You know what I'm saying? Pop, pop, right over my head. Right over my head. It's not like like that was a new thing. Right? I look over, it's my dude. Standing there with his thing. He fired the shots. Over my head. I mean, it wasn't like right over my head. He put them up there, but he fired the shots. I am definitely on the wrong side of this pistol. Right. And I had one of my other dudes there. He was like, get over here. Talking to me like, get over here. So I walk over there and female sitting there clutching to me. I'm like, man, yo, get off me, bro. Again, this is the dudes you chose. I go to my dude. Right, I can't even talk to my guy with the pistol. Can't even talk to him. All emotions, all rage. Can't talk to him. You know what I mean? And my people was like, "Come on, man, we leaving," and we left. We went on about our night. Right now, no one got bodied or nothing like that. Nothing, no one got hurt. But we didn't know how that was gonna turn out. Like, man, we gotta go. But that was an emotional moment that dude had that night. He got emotional. He gave in to his emotions and almost got me shot. Because we're talking about math now is geometry. It was how it was the angle he was holding that pistol. Luckily, it was up. But what if it was more of a, more of a right angle ish, I guess. You don't know. I wasn't looking at him when he let it go. I don't know if he had it straight up or I don't know. But what if it was more of a acute angle? I could have caught that. Because he's worried about, not that he's worried about, but he was caught up in his emotions. That was an emotional guy. That was a real dude. Street people. He got caught up in his emotions over one of his women. I just happened to be standing there. Right? What if he didn't know me? It might have been different. So people talk about emotions. All I'm saying is think about that. Is that what we really want? Emotions? Right? So, and one of my other bullet points I put down here, I was talking about cowards. I was talking about fear. Right? And I'm looking at what's going on in the dating landscape today, right now. Not my world, because I'm older. I'm talking about what's going on right now. Gail at night, what's good? Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you, sis. I'm glad you came through. Some of my Suzette Speaks fams, thank you for coming in. I am truly honored to have you here. So cowards and fear, right? Let's talk about that. Cowards, fear, cowardice. Hey, what is, saying, you talking about the dating world? What does that mean? How does that affect the dating world? Well, I think a lot of guys that are out there right now in the dating marketplace dealing with what they're dealing with, they have a fear of rejection, which leads to cowardice. They don't even want, they like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with it. They're out there on the internet. They're doing their thing. They're gathering all this information. And some of them are thinking like, man, there's nothing I could do about this because I'm short or I'm fat or I don't have a lot of money or I'm not pretty. I'm ugly. I don't know how to talk to people. I don't have a lot of friends. It is what it is. There's just all this. I'm not good enough. To me, that's fear. It's the fear of improving. They take the first step. They go out and they gather the information. They out there. They trying to see what's going on. They gather the information. They take the first step. They get the intel. They read the intel. And then they're trying to figure it out. Like, well, what's the next step? And they're afraid to take the next step. Wonderful 34. Welcome. I don't think I've ever seen you before. Thanks for coming through. Thank you so much for coming through. This is good. I'm seeing people I ain't seen before. This is nice. I wish I had a little bit more energy and I could be upbeat and crazy with it, but I kind of want to talk a little serious on this one. So that cowardice, that fear, and it leads to a little bit of negativity, and they're out there and they're not happy with their results, and then that's why they're saying, well, them women over there, them 304s, you know what I mean? They riding the D carousel, and they, you know what I mean? They doing this, they doing that. They're hypergamous. Look at, they're all on Instagram. They doing this, and I'm like, well, quit being scared. You know what I'm saying? Build yourself up. You see what it is. Take the first step. Don't be afraid. Which leads us to the next bullet point, right? These guys, they're afraid to fail. And then they start looking for reasons why their failure isn't their fault. Well, it ain't my fault. How come she don't have to work on herself? How come the women get men to just come and take them out to dinner, buy them nice things, fly them out to this and that? You know what I mean? How come it's easy for them? Because we different, bro. It's the world we in. It is what it is because we're different, right? Well, I shouldn't have to work hard if she don't have to work hard, right? And then I hear stuff like that, and I think about what the women are saying. because they're all chasing certain dudes. Like they go after these top tier guys and they chase these guys, right? And they're saying the same thing. Well, how come he can go out and he can smash a bunch of chicks, but if I go out and smash a bunch of dudes, they looking at me like I'm less than. And you break it down to them. Well, you know, it's easy for you to do that. Like that's an easy thing for you to do. Go out there, there's mass dudes that want to be with you, but because guys want that. Guys want the Foxy Brown. Women want relationships and attention and resources and stuff like that. So it's like, well, hey, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And I don't put any of it on the woman. I don't. I think women should move the way they move because women are always going to choose the best. Miss AK lady, what's good? Good evening. Thanks for popping in. Like, women are always going to choose the best. So it's up to men to step their game up, in my opinion. Quit being scared. These watchers, dudes that don't know the game, don't realize that most of these women aren't really having the time of their lives. A lot of damage happening when they get flued out. A whole lot of damage. They in rotations. That's real talk. That's real talk, right? And again, I think it's the fear on the man's part to step up. You know what I mean? To step up. So I was sitting around and like I said, I was watching going through the archives of Fresh and Fit. And I came across this little bit right here I'm gonna play. So yeah, sit back and watch this real quick. Let me do this and check this out real quick. Again, this is Andrew Tate talking to Myron and Fresh on the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Troy, Brad Pitt's about to go fight this big ass dude in a little one-on-one confrontation, and the boy gives Brad Pitt, Troy, his weapons or whatever, and he says, "Wow, he's rather large. I wouldn't fight him." Brad Pitt looks at that fucking kid and he goes, "That's why no one will remember your name," and he rides off.
That's right.
And he fights that fucking dude.
That's right.
And that's what I need you guys to understand is that there's nothing wrong being scared. As a matter of fact, being scared is what keeps you alive. It's what makes you human.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? But it's accepting the fact that you're scared and doing it fucking anyway. Just like when it comes to the gym. I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm tired. You do it fucking anyway. You're tired. You don't want to work. You want to go to sleep and just relax. You do it fucking anyway.
And sorry to interrupt again,
No,
but that is the most basic imperative of the masculine frame, which has been destroyed in real time. They are trying to convince you that you should act how you feel. You should show more of your feelings. If you feel this way, you should show it. If you want to cry, cry. Look, I have no problem with guys crying. Sometimes guys cry, right? My dad died, I cried. I've cried once in 10 years, but it's not a default emotion for me. Sometimes you cry, right? But what I'm saying is the reason they're trying to bring out emotionality in you is because of exactly what Myron said. Most of the time, you don't feel like doing the things you're supposed to do. But the true masculine frame throughout history was doing the things they didn't want to do, but they knew they had to do because they had honor and duty. That's what honor and duty means. Do you think the men on the Titanic wanted to stay on the fucking Titanic? No, we're men. We have to stay. We're scared, but we must. It's our duty to let the women and children on the lifeboats. Yeah. This is masculine duty. When you remove self-control from men, you get not only do you get emasculated weak men, but you also get is very dangerous men. Because the world at large is trying to tell you, just be more in touch with your feelings and everything's going to be fine. Men also have an innate desire, one, for conquest, and two, we have a biological response. We are very predispositioned to anger. You look at all these school shooters and shit. These are men who can't control their emotions. That's all they are.
Fact.
Yo, when I was watching that today, it clicked on that story that I just told y'all about one of my homeboys. One of our dudes. This man would have did anything for me. I would have did anything for him. And he busting his pistol over my head, right? He popping off rounds over my head because he got emotional over his girl because they having a fight. He just said it. So do we really want guys to be in touch with their emotions? right? I mean, seriously. And that I was just like, wow, that's some real talk. And what Myron was saying, about getting up and doing it anyway. I didn't want to do this today. I didn't. I'm had to get up and do this, man. I started a commitment, right? I'm gonna stick to it. I'm not a quitter. I'm not gonna lay down. I'm gonna get up here. I'm gonna do this. I'm putting up content Sunday through Thursdays, Monday through Friday, right? I'm putting up content. I'm doing it. Like if I'm not putting up content, that means I'm recording it and I'll post it later because I'm driving or something like that. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna stay committed. It's like it's part of that having no fear. Act Ozzy, the concept is naturally understood in traditional society. Yeah, it used to be, but there's a shift going on. I'm seeing a shift going on, and one of the notes I put down here is like, it doesn't pay to be courageous, or does it? I can remember when I was growing up, we was doing what we was doing. I'm talking about when I was real little, elementary school, middle school. We'd be out there doing stuff. And like I said, I rolled with the berserkers. I was with the knuckleheads a lot. Yeah, I'm out there with the knuckle. They would just do things for no reason. And I found that I was the guy saying, nah, let's not do that. It's not worth it. Not that I was afraid to do it. They knew I wasn't afraid to do it. But it was just like, we too deep in the other neighborhoods to be doing that. And it was just, we in the white neighborhood, we young black kids, man, we too deep over here to be running around smacking people in the head for no reason. You know what I mean? Running around just stealing people and stealing you sucker punching. Like we too far away from our soil to be doing that. It took courage for me to step up to my dudes because sometimes I would have to fight them. Well, if you ain't gonna let me hit that white boy, I'm gonna hit you. Now we fight. Like we wrestling or whatever. But it took courage to do that. Right? Just like it takes courage to walk up and holler at some woman. If you want to holler at her, it takes courage to do that. But there's so many guys that they're just not doing it. Like, because they feel it doesn't pay. Because they're tied to their emotions. Right? They're tied to the everybody gets a trophy, that kind of thing. Like this, the whole narrative is starting to get spun. And who is suffering? You got the women. The women are now like, oh, there are no more manly men. There are no more good men. But why is that? So I don't know if it's somebody needs to hear this, but I'm just saying, we can't be afraid. You know what I mean? We can't live in that fear. We got to push through. And if you look at that, when I put that thing up, that screenshot, it just so happened that while he was talking, I sent a super chat in way back when, I think that was like 6 months ago or something like that, maybe a little longer. And even in the super chat that I sent it, because they were talking about pushing through fear. Yeah, I was a paratrooper. I got the flag back there. I talk about it all the time. So proud of that. That's what I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be airborne since I was little. I always wanted to be airborne, and I earned my wings. Did it. And I did these jumps. I didn't just go to school, do the 5 jumps, and get my little, my jump wings awarded to me. Now I went to an airborne unit. We did this all the time. We lived it. But like I said in the super chat there, as a paratrooper jumping from an aircraft about 800 feet above the ground at night with over 70 pounds of gear, was I scared? Fuck yeah, I was scared. But when the green light came on, I jumped. I pushed right through that. I jumped. And that's what y'all got to do, young brothers out there. Y'all got to jump in the old heads too. And when you're a paratrooper, you're inside that airplane, man, there's a red light and there's a green light. Right? The red light's on, but you've gone through all your jump commands. You're standing up. I jumped C-130s and C-141s, but it was probably I jumped more C-130s than I did 141s. Right? So you're inside that aircraft. That red light's on. The whole interior of that aircraft is red. Everyone's up. We're hooked up. We're ready to go. And as soon as that green light comes on, the whole interior of the aircraft turns green. Jump masters yells, go, smacks you on your butt, and whoever's in the door, they jump. And the rest of us, we go. 64 of us. Out the door. Were we scared? Absolutely. Absolutely. You talk about jumping into the unknown. It's dark out there. You can't see. Right? The assumption is we're over the drop zone. We are pretty sure the Air Force is putting us where we need to be. That's why I love the Air Force guys. They were nice enough to let us use their airplanes, and even nicer, they let us jump out. It was pretty cool. Didn't even charge us. Because if we jumped out, if one jumper went, the Army didn't have to pay for the bird. But if we had to come back for whatever reason, if we didn't jump, if anybody, no one jumped out the airplane, then the Army would have to pay for that airplane, the gas and all that. So we always jumped. We always jumped. So, but I was scared. No shame in that. I was afraid, but I pushed through it. In life, I get afraid sometimes, but you push through it. And when I was little, the men in our lives would tell us that we were men. We were going to grow up and we had to be men. We had to man up. We had to go out and protect the family when the time came. We had to back up our words, right? We had to be us. It wasn't about going out there and talking crazy and then running away. Nah, man, you had to stand your ground, right? You had to stand up for your beliefs. You had to. I can remember young dudes going out there talking crazy, running back to their moms. And back then, in the 70s and in the early 80s, the mom would bring them back outside. You better fight them little dudes. You ain't running in here. Ain't no punks in this house. That was the women in my family. That was the women, most of the women in my neighborhood. But nowadays, oh, come here, baby. I'll protect you. Oh, come here. Please. If I ran home from somebody and my people found out I was getting beat in the house. And then they gonna take me out there and you better go find dude. You better go fight him. We ain't talking about no gunplay or nothing like that. Just straight up, get your hands up, bro. Either you're gonna win or you're gonna lose, but you are not going to run. We got way too many kids running now. Miss AK lady, the older I get, the more I learn that a lot of stuff I want is on the other side of fear. Yeah. I know this is directed towards men, but it's a solid message for the collective. Yeah. And it's for whoever needs to hear it. It's just the angle that I'm kind of taking this angle with reference to the dating landscape, right? Because I'm frankly, I'm just tired of these guys. They're afraid to go talk to women. They're afraid to do the work. Rich Cooper says it. Anywhere on the manosphere, I hear all this stuff. They talk about the manosphere, but what are they really trying to teach you in the manosphere? They're simply trying to show you what's going on today. This is what it looks like today. This is what it is, right? Adjust, right? Do the work. That's all they're trying to say. They're not saying that, hate women. They're not saying that. They're not saying, anything negative. The people I listen to ain't. You talk to Fresh and Fit, man. Fresh will tell you. It's like, hey, man, this is how the women today are moving. I know this. I study this. I adjust so I can get what I want. That's what he says. All day, every day. That's what I do. That's what he said. Hey, man, this is what I do. Right? He got a couple Lamborghinis. He's making money on it. He's a smart guy. But he knows it helps him. It's the trappings that helps him get what he's trying to get. Right? Him and Myron both said, like, bro, we're just nerds who figured it out. But they had the courage to push through. Myron worked for the government. He was a federal agent. He had a federal job, a great career. And he loved what he was doing. He absolutely loved it. And he had a decision to make. A year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I think. He had a decision to make. The government did not want him doing the podcast. He did not. They saw it. They did not want him doing Fresh and Fit. And he was like, well, I guess I got a decision to make. So I'm going to go ahead and resign. And he did it with the hopes of getting back to that because he really loved what he was doing. He really loved his position in law enforcement, and he was good at it. So that's why he took the moniker, moniker of Myron Gaines, and that's what he was doing, because he was hoping that he can get back to that at some point. But he had the courage to put that platform together and make it happen. Fresh did the same thing. He wasn't a federal agent, but Fresh had to make some decisions, right? He had to take some leaps of faith because of his conviction, because of his upbringing, his religious beliefs. He married a woman. He married a woman who had a kids. He married a single mom, right? Married a single mom, and he was doing the right thing. He really was. He was like, man, I'm. This is how I was raised. If I'm going to be with this person, I'm going to be with this person. We got to be married. And I'm not telling no secrets. You go back and watch their stuff. He talks about it all the time. So he did it. But then he got in there and he realized, like, man, this is a mistake. This is a problem. This is taking me off my game. He was trying to level up to get where he is now. He was in the early stages back then. He's like, yo, man, I need to figure this out. And he had to make a decision. He had to talk to his wife. They were recently married or whatever, and he had to say, hey, man, this ain't working. We need to end this. That takes courage. It takes a lot of courage. He did it. He did it. He gets Myron R is relentless whenever he tells the story, keeps hitting the stupid button. Wonderful 34, ice cream and peaches, baby. How about you, sir? Oh, yeah, news watchers. Yeah, everybody's saying what's up. I'm glad it's love in it. It's love in the chat, Miss AK. Hey, lady, LOL. I guess Fresh and Fit just sounds different to women. They probably have a good message, but the negative stuff go viral. Yeah, the negative stuff goes viral all the time. Irina Gaines, what's up? Fresh and Fit family's up in here. I am living proof of what you're saying. Hilarious. Hilarious. Yo, I'm gonna tell them. But yo, Miss AK, for real. Like, and here's the thing about Fresh and Fit. They're doing their thing. Like, these guys, they're influencers, right? It's a new class of celebrity influencer, right? So you got like actors and producers and all like that, athletes and all that. But now we got influencers, right? And those two guys, they're influencers. They're gonna be on the #1 radio show in Australia tomorrow. Tomorrow is 6:30 our time, 6:30 p.m. They're gonna be on the show. People are hitting them up. They have done the work and they are currently doing the work and they're doing well. Shout out to them. They're my dudes, right? But again, they have no fear. They have no fear. There would be no Fresh and Fit if they were afraid. If Myron was, I'm too afraid to walk away from this position. I ain't gonna lie to you. I would not have walked away from my career as an air traffic controller. I reached a point in my stand-up career where I'm like, man, I really want to take this to the next level. I want to start hitting the road. I want to, maybe get me a manager, get me an agent, maybe take some acting courses, because that kind of went hand in hand once you got to a certain point in the stand-up world. Hollywood was right there. They're kind of looking at you to do different roles. I had friends come at me and ask me to help them with small projects. I was doing all that. And I talked to one of the OG comics. And I said, hey, man, I'm thinking about going to the next level. How should I do it? How should I go about it, man? And these are guys who were bringing me, they're letting me feature with them. Like, I'm starting to branch out. I'm going from LA to Long Beach to Brea, California. Got, guys are giving me offers to come up and open forum or feature forum in Sacramento, San Diego, right, Vegas. So they know me. Like, I'm coming up. They're like, yeah, you about ready, man. You about ready. So they're like, if you're really serious and you really want to make this happen, you got to quit your job and do this full time. You can't do this with a safety net. This has to be the only way you sustain yourself. And I sat down, was like, what? He was like, yeah, bro, if you really trying to do this, you want to break through, you trying to make it to our level, this is what we do. We do this. We do stand up. We write. We act. You know what I mean? This is it. And I sat down, man. I thought about that for a good 3-4 minutes. It's like, hell no, Billy. I'm not walking away from a 6-figure plus. I'm well into the 6 figures. There's no way I'm going to walk away from that so I can start making $25,000, $35,000, $45,000, piecing it together here, there, and everywhere. Hell no. Right? I wasn't doing that. I was too afraid to walk away from my secure career. Plus, I loved it. I love being an air traffic controller. Now, here's the thing. What could have happened if I walked away? Right? What could have happened? I could have been at the Oscars watching Will smack the shit out of Chris Rock. Who knows? I could be sitting on top of a bunch of money. Miss AKA lady. Giving up the comfort or benefits and a predictable paycheck is serious. Yeah. But I understood what he was saying though. Right? If you serious about that, if you bout that life, you gotta be willing to do anything. And you gotta remove the net if you bout that life. I could have went on and did that, walked away from my career as an air traffic controller and immediately wrote a pilot about life as an air traffic controller. And if that's the only way I'm going to eat, I probably would have used all my resources and pushed that thing. And who knows, that could have went on to be the next big TV show. And I could be like a, multi-millionaire right now, chilling. One of the cool kids in Hollywood. Could have happened. But we'll never know because I was fearful. I was like, I ain't want it that bad. I was fearful. Right. But again, earlier in my life, I would have done anything and I did anything to be a paratrooper. There was no way you was going to stop me from being airborne. No way. No way. So you got to push through that fear. Right. Sometimes. And when you're doing that, that's not being comfortable anymore. I can't be comfortable. I got to push through it. Act Ozzy was good, man. Success rate ain't there either. Yeah. Possibility versus probability. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the leap of faith. It really is. And that's what happens in Hollywood. So many people, they take that leap and they get crushed. They get ground up. They chasing that dream, following their emotions. I had to think that one through. And I went the way I went, and I'm happy I did. I had a great career. I'm retired now. I'm doing what I want to do. It's amazing. But again, the fear part, the reason I did it was, right, if I had another job to say I was making half the amount of money or something like that, I absolutely would have left that job. I'd have left that job and went right into the entertainment world, right into stand-up hardcore. I would have. But the money was too good. And I might have hurt myself in the process. So yeah, and then with that link that I showed you with sharing that Fresh and Fit episode, Andrew Tate went on to talk about a bunch of stuff, man. He was, and one of his big sayings, I'm always quoting that brother. Brother Tate, it's a sharp guy. I'm always quoting him. Fight the slave mind. The have-nots versus the have-yachts. All that makes a lot of sense to me. And one of the things he says a lot too, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around. Like and I thought about that. Boy, he's on point. He's on point. Miss AK lady, do you believe that it was all fear or you made the best choice for your situation at the time? It was a good choice, but it was fear in there. I ain't gonna lie to you. It was a little bit of fear in there. Right? And here's the thing too. Let's say that the top agency in Hollywood came up to me and they're like, wow, we love your stand-up and we understand that you're an air traffic controller. You're a black guy. You look like Damon Wayans. We got this show lined up. Here's a check for $100,000. We're gonna sign you. You're guaranteed, $2 million over 4 years. All you got to do is quit your job as an air traffic controller. I absolutely would have quit my job as an air traffic controller because the money was there, right? So you take away but the same thing could have been there if I hustled it up, right? But that's where the fear came in. It's like, I'm not just going to do it. And yes, it was a solid decision at the time. But yeah, if it was a little bit of money on the table, I didn't have any kids or anything like that. Yeah, absolutely I would have cut the ties with air traffic and went back in there, similar to what Myron did. Because I could have circled back a few years later if it didn't work out, and I could have become a private contractor or something like that. I could have gone to Dubai when we're making $160,000 to $200,000 a year as a contractor air traffic controller. So there would still have been a net there, but I was scared, man. I didn't want to take that risk. Whiskey Earn, what's up, man? Tampa area up in the house. Hey, we live. We are live, bro. I'm over here just making myself feel better. I was a little bit down in the dumps. I didn't want to do it, but now here I am. Y'all can see the energy is starting to flow. I love that quote. You are the sum of your 5 people you spend the most time with. I do too. That quote is so true, right? So people, if y'all hear this, think about that. Like if your circle, your 5, right? If you're 5, if they are tight, you feel me? Hard chargers, warriors, and you're a warrior. But if you're 5, if they're knuckleheads, right? If they living in mom's basement, right? They're just nobodies. You're probably a nobody. Right? I love that quote too. Miss Globe Girl, what's good? Good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Man, I see what's going on. I got my Fresh and Fit fam in here, and I got my Suzette Speaks fams in here. We often say it takes courage to leave a career and chase a dream, but sometimes staying in your career takes courage. I like that. That's a good perspective. That is a good perspective. Yeah. I got nothing to say about that other than I like it. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh man, I wish you'd have been out there with me. It'd have made it so easy for me to make that choice, which it was, like I said, it only took me a couple minutes to make up my mind. Like, man, I'm sorry. I struggled too much growing up, man. I'm about to get this up now. I just got there. You know what I mean? My arena games. On a lighter note, I'll put a recommendation to my dad to bring you on to the Coke parties. Thank you. Because I keep hearing about them parties, man. And you know what I'm saying? I'm an insider over there. How come I don't get no invitation? I think it's ageism. They don't want an old person around. And that's a reference to a super chat that I sent today. So for those of y'all who aren't part of the Fresh and Fit family, you was wondering what we talking about. Whiskey Earned. Sorry to hear that, brother. Hope you feel better. I feel better, man. I ain't looking for that. We're men, bro. We are men. I am of that mindset that you got to man up and you got to push through. I was just saying that I didn't want to get up, you know what I mean, to do this stream. I was just sitting down. I wasn't feeling sorry for myself, but I was just like, shit, man, it's battle fatigue. You know what I mean? It was a rough day. It was battle fatigue, right? So I'm like, oh man, I needed some R&R. That's what I was thinking. I'm just gonna take some downtime or whatever. But I got up here and look, you know what I mean? Y'all can see the energy coming. I'm starting to get amped up. You know what I mean? So and thanks for rocking with me, y'all. And Miss AKA later after yesterday's show, I'm laughing at the Coke party. Yeah. And Miss AKA, she's talking about the show we did yesterday, which it's entitled "White People Stop Asking Me for Drugs." I was just trying to figure out why so many white folks like to ask me for drugs when I'm out and about in society. It's so funny, especially because I roll with high society. It ain't never my people. It ain't never like, and by my people I mean folks who came up from the mud. They ain't never hitting me up for nothing. It's always high society. So if y'all haven't seen it, go check it out. Let me know what y'all think. You know what I mean? But I have fun. We have fun doing that. It was me and Jay Swans. We have fun trying to figure that out. Hell yeah, power through, man. I gotta power through, man. So courage, right? And it's in fear. Like fear is such. It's normal. You're supposed to be afraid. Hell, it'll keep you alive in some cases. That's where it comes from, man. That fight or flight. You know, that fear. Now, if you looking down the cave and you hear some weird noises coming out that cave, you don't want to go in there. Fear. Now, if you're a warrior, if you're a soldier, and you got to go clear that cave, no matter what you hear, you got to go in there. But you're geared up and ready. And I'll tell y'all another story. This was when this was during Desert Storm. I had just gotten in country. I might have been in country, I don't know, 2, maybe 3 weeks. I don't think it was that long. I think I'd been in country like less than 15 days. Right? I finally caught up to my unit. So, anyone who's been deployed, they'll tell you, you go to wherever the theater of operations is, and then you kind of go to where the rear is, where all the gear is and all the equipment and all that kind of stuff. And you go to the replacement folks, and they're like, what's your name? This is who I am. Okay, your unit is here. They got a map. Your unit is out here. We're going to call it Checkpoint Charlie. So go get on that bus over there. It'll be a group of people. Get on the bus over there, and they're going to drive you out to Checkpoint Charlie. Cool. So it takes time to find your unit. A lot of times the people in the rear might not know where your unit is because there's a lot of movement going on. So, and it takes time, even in the modern era, it takes time for people to get these changes. So it took me, I don't know, maybe less than a week to find the unit. They finally got me there. And I wish they had flown me in as an aviation unit. Like, can y'all just put me on a Chinook or a Black Hawk and fly me in? But no, we drove out on a bus driven by Filipino contractors. Right? Because when you go to war, contractors are everywhere. So finally get to the unit. They get me squared away. So within 3 or 4 days, I'm in the guard rotation. I mean, that's how it is. It's wartime. You're going to have to do it. I came out of basic training, advanced training. I know how to pull guard duty. Act Ozzy. Fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm. The warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Sweet. I like that. That was in some movie. Maybe it was something I read, but I've heard that before. Thanks, bro. That's hard. So I'm at the unit. I'm the FNG. What's the FNG? Fucking new guy. That's Army. That's military jargon. I'm the FNG, whatever. I'm on the duty roster. It's time for me to go pull guard duty. Right? What am I, 18 years old? We're in the middle of the desert. We're in Saudi Arabia. Is nighttime. So when you pull guard duty, you pull 2 shifts. You pull a daytime shift. You pull a nighttime shift. I was going out to pull my nighttime one. I was like 0300, 3 in the morning for you non-military folks, something like that. And I'm out there, and I'm on the listening point, which is just outside of. So you have an area where everyone is, and then it's like barbed wire and sandbags and all that stuff. So there's like a perimeter where everybody is, and just outside of that perimeter, there's like another little area where soldiers will sit there, and it's a listening point. You simply sit there, you listen, and you're basically the alarm system. So if someone comes, if there's some sort of attack, the guys on the LP, in theory, will pop off the first rounds. That'll get everybody who's back inside the perimeter, beyond the berm. Everybody else can jump up, grab their weapons, get to their firing position, their fighting positions, and be able to repel the attack. However, if you're on the listening point, probably not going to survive. Just keep it 100. It's just you. You're out there, and there's a few other people out there with you, but they're spread out. You know what I mean? You know, a couple meters to your left, to your right, or whatever. So it's nighttime. I'm on the listening point. It's just me. My NVGs don't work. This is the 90s, y'all. So it was just state of the art technology, but the batteries went dead. There's overcast skies, so no moon. When I say it was dark, it was dark. Like, I'm in the desert, couldn't see nothing. I couldn't see my hand in front of my eyes. That's how dark it was, right? And I was scared. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I was scared. Here I am thinking I was Mr. Big in Cincinnati. Now I'm in the middle of the desert somewhere with an M16 on some listening point, and I was scared, y'all. I was scared. So what I did was I sat down and I was like hugging my knees. I got my weapon right next to me, and just leaning up against the sandbags and the berm, and I'm just kind of hugging my knees, and I'm just kind of sitting there, scared. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't no shame. I was petrified. Sergeant of the guard walks up, because you got all these soldiers out here, and you got a sergeant. Sergeant of the guard he's in charge, so he's walking from LP to LP or whatever, from position to position. And he walks up on me. He kind of looks down, looks in there, because he didn't see me. It's like, where the hell is this private? And he looks down. And here's the thing: I could have been in so much trouble. I could have got locked up for that. I mean, anything. That was the worst thing to do, right? I endangered everybody behind me. I wasn't doing my job. You talk about dereliction of duties, guard, all this kind of stuff, right? He just looked in there. I don't even know his name. He wasn't even in my company. He was sergeant of guard from another company. Looked in there. He was like, you ain't gonna see anything from down there, airborne. And then he walked away. I just started laughing. I got up, I grabbed my weapon, and that was it. I was good. I was good. I don't care who came. I don't care what was going on. Right? Saddam and the whole Republican Guard could have come up, and I would have dealt with it. I didn't care. From that point forward, I was good. And it was funny. And later in life, I would go on to read Sun Tzu's The Art of War, and Sun Tzu talks about that. And it was just I just wanted to share that, because That's how easy it can be to break through fear. Just like that. I mean, just like that. And from that day forward, I've been able to manage my fear no matter what situation I'm in. Right? It could be wartime, jumping out of an airplane, dealing with street issues, dealing with law enforcement. Doesn't matter. I can deal with fear. Deal with fear. So yeah. And that day that taught me one thing, man. Stay away from cowards. Stay away from cowards, man, because they can poison you, bro. Have ladies, men, men and women out there, ladies and gentlemen, listening to me. Stay away from cowards, man. Stay away from cowards. Right. And it's so hard to do the right thing. So it was another thing I wanted to pull up, talking about fear, talking about doing the right thing. So I've been talking about dating and all that kind of stuff, right? But there's something going on in the news right now, and I'm not trying to make this like a political thing. But there's stuff that's going on, and I'm just gonna play the audio only. But when you try to do the right thing, when you know something's wrong and you know you need to do the right thing, you need to stay the course. You can't let the masses sway you. You cannot. Right? You need to stay the course. And before I do that, let's read what Miss AK Lady has to say. If it makes sense, sometimes I have to separate my fear from my actions. When scared, I do it anyway. When tired, so do it anyway. Slow motion is better than no motion. Just go. Absolutely. And you just got to push through. And that's what we talk about. Push through. Like just you correct it. Do it anyway. Whiskey earned. That's dope. Fear, definitely what holds people back the most. Fear is the simple fear of being rejected. Keeps you in the bottom 80%. But we're gonna get back to that. I'll close with that. But I wanted to play this. I want you guys to hear this. And this is all about what happened on January 6th. And this is what Kevin McCarthy was talking about in these leaked audio tapes or whatever they got. So check this out.
Not fun. I know this is not great. I know this is,
One's in the chat if y'all can hear that.
But what I want to do, especially through here, is I don't want to rush things. I want everybody to have all the information needed. I've had it with this guy. What he did is unacceptable. Nobody can defend that, and nobody should defend it.
Let's bring in NBC.
So that was just a clip, and there are so many tapes out there. Thanks, y'all. Y'all can hear that. I wasn't sure if y'all would be able to hear that. I'm still getting new to this setup, but that was the minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, and this is reference what happened. The insurrection, January 6th, and that was him. That was his voice. He knew what happened that day was wrong. Right. And again, now for people, I'm not trying to make this political. I'm trying to use this as an example. I'm trying to get somewhere. So he knew what happened that day was wrong. And you can go out and find these tapes. There are much more tapes. They get real in depth with the stuff that they're talking about. And he was like, nah, man, this guy's going to have to be held to account. You know what I mean? To the point where like, this guy's going to have to resign from office. This is wrong. People got hurt. This thing could have really spiraled out of control. We gotta rein this in. We gotta bring this back, right? Because it was wrong. We all know the difference between right and wrong, right? Now he's claiming he that's not what he was talking about. He's claiming something different. Like you sit here and hear what he said, and this is like, nah, that's not what I said. Right? He's backtracking. When you step up, man, when it's time to be courageous, you can't backtrack. You gotta see it through to the end. He chose his heel, and now he doesn't want to die on it. Like, nah, man, you gotta die on it. You cannot backtrack. So why did I bring that up? The people around him are telling him, nah, man, you gotta backtrack, you gotta do this. Think about your political future, right? So that's why I put in there, man, stay away from cowards. Stay away from that. Like, nah, bro. No. This is it. You were right. The president was wrong. We need to move forward. Let's do this. We need to rein all these people in. We got these bad apples. We got these folks, and they're gonna spoil the bunch if we don't do something about it. And they tried to do that. And now this is all coming out because now they're like, well, no, we didn't do that. No, he wasn't wrong. No, it was, it was the rig and all this, the steal, stop the steal, all this, whatever. That's cowardice. He failed to push through. And he is a leader. He is an American leader. He's sworn to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Same oath I took. Ain't nobody popping off at him. I was in the theater, right? I was downrange. He ain't dealing with that. He ain't faced with the enemy. And I just can't rock with that. The Dems do the same thing, right? These people we got in power, these politicians, they don't have any integrity, right? These people, if they were on the Titanic, they'd be jumping in the boats, man. They'd be kicking the kids and the ladies out the way just so they could save their own neck. And that's what I mean. I think things have changed to a point where I don't believe that our society values courageous men and women, for that matter. I don't think we do. And Acker saying he's trying to be the speaker. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's thinking about his political future. Absolutely. No choice but to grab his knee. Exactly. He's gonna have to go in and yep. He's gonna have to top off the person that everyone, the one side hopes to be the next president. I mean, it just looks like Trump is gonna run for office again. It is what it is, and he's just trying to get on board. But again, can't respect that. And like I said, the same thing happens on the other side, right? The people that you know about that we send to DC, most of those people, their household names, man, they just selfish, man. They're just cowards, and I can't get behind that. I can't. There's a movie that Denzel Washington did. It's called Courage Under Fire, and it was a movie that Denzel was sent to investigate an officer and an aviator who was being considered for the Congressional Medal of Honor. Posthumously, they died, and it was a great movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. Courage Under Fire. Denzel Washington and Meg something. I can't think of her name. I think it was Meg Ryan. I think it was her. And it has old boy from Born Identity in there. Shoot, I forget his name. Ben Affleck's buddy. Anyway, there's a bunch of big stars in it. It's a great movie. I encourage you guys to go check it out. Courage Under Fire. But in that movie, you had all these different versions of what happened, and then Denzel's character is trying to piece it together to find out exactly what happened because all these people are saying what they're saying and they're lying, and it boiled down to a group of men who became cowards, and it was a woman, right, who was all about her leadership, and she didn't buckle under pressure. She was the leader she needed to be. And this is just a great movie. And it's just, if you can hear my voice out there, y'all, let's encourage people to be fearless, to be brave, to go out and do what's right. I believe that'll do a lot to stabilize the dating market. I really do. If men have the courage to stand up and say, hey, this is what I am willing to accept, and everything else over here is unacceptable. And I'm not saying get in people's faces and do all this kind of stuff and nah, just walk away. If you're dealing with a woman and she's doing things that you don't find acceptable, just walk away. It's all you gotta do. You ain't gotta send no funny messages. You ain't gotta argue. You ain't gotta do nothing. And likewise, woman, if you're dealing with a guy who's doing things that you find unacceptable, walk away. Just walk away. We've established that most women want top tier guys anyway. So if you're dealing with a top tier guy and you mad because he's got a lot of options and he's exercising those options, then walk away. Right? Don't make a big thing about it. Don't go on there. Don't, whatever, clap your hands and do all. Just leave. That's it. That's a courageous move, right? Don't be vindictive. Don't be bitter. Don't go to the police and lie to the police that he did something to you that he didn't do. Don't do all that. Just walk away. Yeah, that's it. That takes courage, right? It takes courage to do that. If we start doing that, maybe things will begin to change a little bit. Just maybe. I don't know. It was the thought I had. It was just a thought experiment. Like, what can we do? Right? Because the guys who are out here killing it, that top 5%, them dudes at the tippy top, they do have their options and they don't care. Guys like Myron and Fresh and Andrew Tate, well, Myron and Fresh definitely, they're gonna tell you up front what they doing. And when I was coming up, I used to tell women up front, this is what I'm doing. Like if you messing with me, I'm telling you, you might be one of 5, right? You might be one of 7. Like I never ran more than that. But that's what I was doing. Like, man, I'm single. This is what I'm doing. So don't get mad at me if you see me out somewhere with somebody else. That might be number 3, right? That was just how I did it. I was upfront all the time. Yeah, that takes courage because a lot of women weren't with that. They were like, all right, man, you too much for me. And they're going about their business. I lost a lot. I did. But for those who wanted the spot, my top 5, my top 7, they was there and they was rocking with it. And I was very respectful. I wasn't doing anything crazy like that. Like, I wasn't trying to get everybody in the same bed together. You know what I mean? Some of my dudes was doing that. Some of my dudes they'll have a party, invite all the chicks to the party. I wasn't doing that. Tristan Tate does that. Shout out to you, Tristan, but I didn't want that. I don't want that. I did it my way. You know what I'm saying? But have that courage to do what's right. Right? Have that courage to be honest, brutally honest if you must. Have that courage on both sides. You know what I mean? Quit playing the blame game. You know what I mean? Have that courage to get up, to do that stream. You don't want to do that stream. You know what I mean? Have the courage to do that. Have the courage to make that call that you don't want to make. Take that call that you don't want to take. You know what I mean? That was like yesterday. I was getting mass calls from my attorney's office and all that. I ain't want to take them. I ain't want to deal with it. But you got to have that courage to do it. Like, man, I got to take care of this. You got to do it. I think if we do that, I think that's the first step in coming back to, taking back these streets, taking back America. It's the first step because we got a lot of work we need to do. We got to be honest with ourselves, right? Because the smoke and mirrors at the bottom is getting thick, y'all. Interest rates are going up, right? Home ownership is about to become unattainable for most Americans, right? Think about that right now. The Fed is at, I want to say 5.11, I think was the latest that I saw on the rate, which means the banks are probably up around above 6%. Above 6%, right? Wall Street was buying up all the houses under $3,000. So you're looking at under $300,000. So now you're looking at $400,000, right? You're trying to get into your starter home at $400,000 in a place like Tampa. $400,000 for a starter home at 6.25, right? Maybe 6.5. And those are well qualified buyers. If your credit ain't on point, you might be looking at 7.5, 8%. You ain't getting into that house. So you're going to have the courage, right, to make some real tough decisions instead of just laying down and just giving up. You're going to have to figure it out. Rent in the Tampa area is out of control, as Whiskey earned. It's insane here. It's insane. I moved here from LA like, all right, let me just watch the market. I'm going to jump in something real quick, whatever. The market's been shooting up since I've been here. It's still going up. Even with the interest rates going up, you can't find a home in a good neighborhood. So you got to have the courage to push through and find a better way. Like, all right, let me find some other options. Let me look at some other things. Let me go talk to the people, my top 5. Let me go talk to my top 5 and see what's going on. Right? Okay, I talked to my top 5 and they're giving me some good options. And then you have to have the courage to follow through. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. I'm glad y'all rock with me a little bit. Whiskey Earn did chip in. You know what I mean? No kidding, the housing market is terrible right now. I got my starter home in 2017 at 155,000. It's valued at 310,000 right now, bro. Do not let that go. 990 square feet. Do not let that go. And here's the thing: if you want to let it go, who can afford 310,000 at 6, 7, 8%, and it's climbing? Ooh, boy, that's crazy. And that leads to a different conversation. I'm not gonna tackle that. I'm gonna leave that to my dudes, Fresh and Myron, on Monday. Myron's talking about on Money Monday. He's gonna talk about his latest real estate purchase. He's like they're closing now. So long as nothing falls out of escrow, everything goes the way it's supposed to go. I think they'll be done. He's gonna talk about that. So if they don't do that Money Monday, then I'll do a show probably Tuesday of next week, talking about what's going on in the financial markets right now, because it is crazy, and this is just the beginning. Inflation is here, y'all. It's about to get wicked. I hope that you guys are making some good decisions and trying to put some money away. Please, I hope you're not putting all your money in crypto, money that you need. Remember, when you invest, it's gambling. Only gamble what you can afford. Only those type of investments. Like, be smart with your portfolios, be diverse with your portfolios. Even now, real estate is king. Still gotta have a place to live. So just stuff to think about, and be paying attention to what's going on out there, y'all, because things are getting rough. We're at that 10-year period. I think we're about 10 years in. This recession is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. So, batten down the hatches, as those old Navy people say, man. Like, and like in the Army and Airborne, we just hold what you got, because this is going to be a bad one. I don't know how long it's going to last, but they got to get the dollar under control. They got to get inflation under control. It's just going to be a rough one, y'all. And America's already, again, have nots and have yachts. That gap is growing. So definitely check out Fresh and Fit's Money Mondays. And I think it's Gammon. I think it's Greg Gammon. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, but I watch him a lot, talking about what's going on with the Fed, what's going on with Wall Street. Y'all see what's going on with Wall Street. They're taking a beating right now, which is good. It's like blood's in the street. So once that bottom, they find a bottom, people are going to start dumping money into it. Right? That's just how that works. And if you have some money, you might want to, do that. You look at the tech stocks are just getting beat down right now. So there are going to be some good deals out there. And on the other side of this recession, there may be some good deals in the housing market, but the forecast is still that housing is going to continue to rise a few points over the next year and a half, which that's a head scratcher to me. I don't understand that, but all of the talking heads are saying that it's going to still rise. So on the next show, I will be talking about that a little bit. We're going to kind of do a little finance show and just kind of look at what's going on and see if I can't wrap my head around it. Thanks for rocking with me, y'all. This has been great. Now y'all got me. I'm amped now. It's 10 o'clock. I don't know how I'm gonna go to sleep because I'm all amped up now, man. I guess I'll go run around the block a couple times or something, do some push-ups or something. Try to get myself tired again. But thanks for rocking with me. Whiskey, Act, Miss Global, thank you, Miss AKA Lady, Needs Watches, Myrina Gaines. Thanks for coming out. Hood Ninja Fresh was in here. Thank you so much for coming out. Y'all made my night. This was great. This was really great. Wonderful 34. Welcome and thanks again, Gail at Night. Thank y'all so much for coming out, listening to an old man talk crazy, right? And just remember this, man. Don't be afraid. Push through the fear, right? Let's make courage great again. How about that? Somebody make that hat and I'll wear that. Let's make courage great again. So, all right. I'm DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. I'll talk to y'all later.